by the fury of Lewis's attack.
What's happening, my people? It's Cat Sports again, back for another afternoon with the family. Now, as usual, before I get started, let me give a shout out to the JBT community. It's just boxing talk. We're a group of people who just love to talk boxing. And we're always looking for others to join us. And you don't have to have a podcast. The only requirement is you just have to love to talk boxing. That's all. Miss Cass, hashtag JBT. Mike Rim, Al Booger, the Boxing Menu Podcast Plus, Ray Patterson, straight out of New Jersey. What's up, RP? Salute to everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cat Sports, the Box Storian. Today, the featherweight division in boxing. And you know what time it is. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Box Storian, bringing you all that boxing history. Boxing is the greatest sport of them all. That's why we love it. Can't get enough of it. How's everyone today? This is the Tuesday afternoon edition of Cat Sports, the Box Storian. Still early, in this big week of boxing history. Today, on Tuesdays, we're going through the divisions. We're at featherweight. Mike Mazik in the building. What's up, Mike Mazik? Yeah, I don't know how I miss Mike Mazik. I usually write down two names before I even start. Miss Cass and Mike Mazik. Because I know they're going to be in here. This is my 334th show. Mike Mazik been in 333 of them. Salute Mike Mazik. Yeah, the featherweight division today. Okay. 126. We're going to talk about a little history of the division, when it started, the first champion, longest reigning champion, some notable fighters there. And then we're going to talk a little bit about some of those notable fighters that fought there, some of the all-time greats. And we're going to talk about some of the guys that's currently fighting there, like the current top 10. Talk a little bit about their careers. That's today. And the highlights of boxing history changed a little today. Ring Magazine started naming a fight of the year and fighter of the year in 1922. And we're going to look at each one of them all the way up to the latest one, 2024. Now, I don't think they've named it yet. We're going to do a decade per day. And by the time we get all the way up to the 2020s, they should have gave us the one for 2024 by then. So, okay, highlights of boxing history. It's going to be fight of the year and fighter of the year. Okay, started in 1922. So for the fight of the year 1922. Okay, excuse me for 1 minute. It was Harry Greb versus Gene Tunney. Gotta put the historic picture up there. Oh, I didn't even put it in. Oh, my bad. Okay, that's Willie Pep on the screen, the greatest featherweight of all time. 1922 fight of the year, Harry Greb versus Gene Tunney. This fight took place on May 23rd and was the first and only professional loss for Gene Tunney. In the first round, Greb broke Tunney's nose and cut his left eye. Greb repeatedly asked the referee to stop the fight, but Tunney refused to quit. Tunney smiled throughout the fight to keep the referee from stopping it. Greb won the fight unanimously after 15 rounds. And the fighter of the year for 1922 was Harry Greb. Was part of the fight of the year. Now, Greb went 12-0 in 1922, including the win over Gene Tunney in the fight of the year for the U.S. light heavyweight title, right? And also in 1922, Greb defeated 4 future Hall of Famers. Fighter of the year 1922, Harry Greb. Now the fight of the year for 1923, Jack Dempsey versus Louis Firpo. This little highlights of boxing history. Take us to 2:30. Jack Dempsey versus Louis Firpo. This fight took place on September 14th. It was the first time a Latin American had challenged for the heavyweight title. Firpo was knocked down 7 times in the first round before he then knocked Dempsey down later in the round. In the second round, Dempsey knocked Firpo down for the 8th and final time as Firpo was counted out. It was the 9th knockdown of the fight. This fight took place at the Polo Grounds in New York. And the fighter of the year for 1923 was Jack Dempsey, who was also part of the fight of the year. And Jack Dempsey fought 2 notable fights in 1923. On July 4th, he successfully defended his title against Tommy Gibbons. And later that year, he was in the fight of the year that we just talked about against Louis Firpo. Go to 1924. Fight of the year for 1924 was Gene Tunney again. Gene Tunney versus George Carpenter. Okay, he was in the fight of the year for 22, remember? Now, Tunney defeated Carpenter by TKO in the 15th round on July 24th at the Polo Grounds. Tunney dominated the fight, knocking Carpenter down 3 times in the 10th round and once in the 14th. Referee Andy Griffin stopped the fight after Carpenter tried to continue. Carpenter retired from boxing after the fight, which was his last notable fight. Okay, and the fighter of the year for 1924 year was Harry Greb. Again, remember he won at 22. Harry Greb won the fighter of the year 1924. Now he had at least 10 fights in 1924, winning all of them. He was known for fighting very frequently, often multiple times per month. And I say at least 10 fights because due to the lack of a comprehensive and standardized boxing record-keeping system at the time, the exact number of Greb's fights may not be entirely accurate, but he had at least 10 of them and won all of them. 2024 Fighter of the Year, Harry Greb. Okay, 2025 Fighter of the Year. This fight took place on July 2nd in New York. In a 15-round fight, which will go down in the annals of time, Harry Greb successfully defended his world middleweight title against Mickey Walker. It was one of the hardest fights of Greb's career, up against the ferocious assault of Mickey Walker. Greb won it by a 15-round unanimous decision. So 1925, Harry Greb versus Mickey Walker. Okay, and the fighter of the year for 1925 was Paul Bertenbach. He won the World Light Heavyweight Championship in 1925, and he made 3 successful title defenses before losing the title in 1926. So 4-0 in 1925 for Paul Bertenbach, including winning the Light Heavyweight Championship. Okay. Fight of the year for 1926. Gene Tunney versus Jack Dempsey. 1. Gene Tunney versus Jack Dempsey 1. Okay. On September 23rd, Tunney defeated Dempsey in a 10-round unanimous decision to win the World Heavyweight Boxing title. The fight took place in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and was attended by a record-breaking crowd. Tunney outboxed Dempsey using strategic responses to Dempsey's rushed charges. Tunney won the fight in the pouring down rain. Fight of the year for 1926. And then the fighter of the year for 1926 was Gene Tunney. Okay? Gene Tunney won fighter of the year after beating Jack Dempsey in the fight of the year. Tunney and Dempsey fought again a rematch in Chicago in 1927, which became known as the long count fight. Tunney won again by decision. And we go to 1927, okay? And the fight of the year for 1927 was Gene Tunney versus Jack Dempsey 2, okay? So 1 and 2 won fight of the year. Gene Tunney versus Jack Dempsey 2 in 1927. This fight took place on September 27th at Soldier Field in Chicago. Known as the long count fight, Tunney won a 10-round unanimous decision. Tunney was knocked down in the 7th round, and the count was delayed due to Dempsey's failure to go to and remain in a neutral corner. Now, whether the long count actually affected the outcome of the fight has always been a subject of debate. In 1927, the fighter of the year was Mickey the Toy Bulldog Walker. Mickey Walker won fighter of the year because of his dominant performance throughout the year, including several high-profile wins against larger opponents, showcasing his incredible toughness and fighting spirit, despite being a smaller fighter, which earned him the nickname, the Toy Bulldog. He notably defeated in 1927 Mike Mateague in a rematch by first-round knockout, and he battled other notable contenders, solidifying his status as the top fighter of 1927. Okay, 1928. We're just going to finish up the 20s, then we're going to get on to the show. 1928, the fight of the year was Tommy Loughlin versus Leo Lomsky. This fight took place on January 6th at Madison Square Garden. Lomsky hit the mat twice in the first round. Loughlin survived. Wait a minute now. Let me start over. Lomsky had Loughlin in trouble early, putting him on the mat twice in the first round. Now, Loughlin survived and used his ring generalship throughout the fight to overcome Lomsky's sluggish attack. Loughlin was able to land enough left jabs and right crosses to convince the judges and referee that he deserved to retain his title, despite Lomsky's aggressive body attack throughout the fight and the 2 knockdowns he scored earlier in the first round. Loughlin overcame that and got the nod for a 15-round decision. That is a very good fight, too. If you like old fights, 1928, January 6th, Tommy Loughlin and Leo Lomsky, fight of the year. And the fighter of the year for 1928 was Gene Tunney again. Ooh, Gene had like 3 of them in the 20s. Now, in 1928, Tunney successfully defended his heavyweight title against Tom Henny in his final fight, retiring undefeated as a heavyweight, losing his only fight as a professional at light heavyweight. Okay, and finally, the fight of the year for 1929, Max Smelling versus Johnny Risco. On February 1st, Smelling defeated Risco by TKO in the 9th round of a heavyweight fight at Madison Square Garden in New York City. Smelling knocked Risco down 4 times with his right hand before the referee stopped the fight. Risco was known as Cleveland's rubber man for his ability to withstand his opponent's blows. Smelling went on to become a world champion after that. And the fighter of the year for 1929 was Tommy Loughlin, okay? Who was in the fight of the year for 1928. Okay, so tomorrow we will do the fighter of the year for the 1930s. Highlights of boxing history. Okay, we're gonna be talking about the heavyweight division today. Okay, excuse me for one moment, please. I'm knocking stuff over with my big feet. Size 13. Size 13 wide, that is. I'm 6'3", so I should have. You gotta be 6'3" with size 6 feet, right? Yeah, okay. So first we're gonna talk about a little boxing history at 126 today, because you know each week we've been going. Tuesday is the day where we do the look at the divisions, and started at heavyweight. Remember, we're all the way down to featherweight. Melanin Queen 27 is in the building. What's up, Melanin Queen? How are you today? How's your day going? Good to see you here. Melanin Queen 27, the greatest moderators. She has redefined the title of moderator, okay? The title of moderator has changed due to Melanin Queen 27. Just watch her operate throughout the show. Appreciate you 1,000%, Melanin Queen 27. And BVO Boxing TV, what's up, nephew? He says, Gene Tunney was a monster. But they had 3 fighters of the year in the 20s, BVO. 3 of them in 1 decade. I don't think, well, we might get a few more like that, but not many. I think Joe Louis might have did it in the 40s. Sugar Ray might have did it, but not too many. And that's lofty company, Joe Louis and Sugar Ray Leonard. Yeah, Gene was a monster. Yeah, check that fight out, though. Tommy Loughlin and Leo Lomsky, and I think it was 27. I done closed the book up now. But that was a great fight. But yeah, featherweight. But salute, BBO. Good to see you, my brother. Okay. Yeah, we're going to look at a little history of the featherweight division first. Yeah, see, I was late, so I'm not prepared. But yeah, we still going to get it done. Okay. There we go. But yeah, we got I didn't know we had Andy Cruz is fighting this weekend. I just found that out this morning. I was listening to Clarence McLean and D Free on Clarence's show this morning. Yeah. I think D Free said Andy Cruz this weekend. I did not know that, man. Wow. So that's all right. Andy's been fast tracked, one of those great Cuban fighters, you know. And then next week is fight week. Is it next week? Yeah, next Saturday. Not this Saturday. Next Saturday is David versus David. That fight just snuck up on us, man. Wow. I remember when they first signed that. And now it's next week. Next Saturday. Yeah, we got some good firefights coming up. And the monster is Friday. Of course, it's like 6:30 in the morning. And you better get up early because it ain't gonna last long. This guy is like a replacement, like less than 2 weeks. It's hard enough with a full training camp against Monster. This guy's coming in less than 2 weeks preparation. So you better get up early for this one because you might miss it. But you know how over there coming from Japan, 6:30 in the morning, they don't cater to us. So we putting our fights on at our own time. Okay. Oh, here we go. Featherweight, right? Now we're at 126. Yeah, we had some great featherweights. I call the man on the screen there, Willie Pep, the greatest featherweight of them all. What you think, BBO? Willie Pep, greatest featherweight of them all? I think so. We had some good ones now. Now, Salvador Sanchez hadn't had the accident and died at 23. He would definitely, hands down, be the greatest featherweight of all time. But yeah, I give the nod to Willie. Oh, you agree with that, BBO? Yeah. Okay, yeah, I give the nod to Willie Pep. The man won a round one time without throwing a punch. That's on ring generalship, making his opponent miss. And the judges gave him the round. If I was the judge, nobody landed the punch, I probably would have called it even, but hey, ring generalship is part of it, so. But featherweight. Now, the featherweight division originated in 1860 under the London prize ring rules with a set weight limit of 118 pounds when it first began. And the English Amateur Boxing Association then established it at 126 pounds, followed by a couple of more changes until the NSC officially modified it back in America to 126 pounds, okay? Now, the first featherweight champion in the world is considered to be Irishman Ike Weir, who defeated Frank Murphy on January 13th, 1890 to win the title. So the first featherweight champion, 1890, okay? Irish Ike Weir. Now, the inaugural champion of the modern era for the WBA and WBC belts was Sugar Ramos in 1963, who defeated Davey Moore for the crown. Because, when the WBA came in 1962, it had been in since the 20s, but the NBA changed to the WBA. And then when the WBC came in 1963, they just immediately started recognizing the WBA champions as their champion. So both of them recognized Sugar Ramos. Now he beat Davey Moore. Now Davey Moore died 2 days later after the fight, after suffering an in-ring injury, right? And he died from those injuries suffered in the ring. Yep, he sure did. Mike Rim. What's up, Mike Rim? I thought Mike Rim was already in here. But salute Mike Rim. Mike was here, came back. Now he's back. He was here early. I was late. My fault. Came at 2:15. Tough. You had a morning sometimes, Yeah, Davey Moore later died from his injury suffered in that fight, though. Yep. Now, the longest title reign of the modern era at featherweight is held by Panamanian boxer Eusebio Pedraza. He had 19 consecutive successful title defenses. That's a lot, 19. Yeah, Eusebio Pedraza, Panamanian fighter. 19 title defenses is the To this day, still the longest title reign at 126 featherweight. Now, some notable featherweight champions throughout history are George Dixon. You know, George Dixon was the first black boxing champion. You know, he was Canadian. Yeah. He was the first black person to win a championship in any sport. This was like back in the 1880s, I think. 1880s, 1890s. Now, of course, Joe Gans was the first black American to win a boxing championship, you know, because like I said, Dixon was Canadian. But some other notable fighters, Kid Chocolate, Willie Pep, Eusebio Pedraza, Salvador Sanchez, Jeff Finnick, Jorge Paez, Rafael Marquez, Stephen Luvano, Nassim Hamed, Marco Antonio Barrera, and of course, Manny Pacquiao. Just some notable guys in the division. Donnie Williams, what's up, Donnie? In the building. Good to see you, Donnie. How are you today, bro? Talking about the featherweight division. That's all. We run short. I'm going to talk about the history of boxing in the United States again. We got to pull that out the closet and dust that off every now and then. You know, y'all don't forgot it from the last time. We did it about, 5-6 months ago? Something like that. But yeah, that's what we're going to talk about later, time permitting. History of boxing in the United States. Now, let's talk about some of these, some of the all-time greats at featherweight. Then we're going to talk about some of the guys that's currently active. But first, the all-time guys, okay? Let me get that out. I usually have everything ready, but I was late. It's cold out there, too. If you ain't got to be out, don't be out. It's got that dangerous Arctic weather going on. But I had to do my walk, man. I'm in my 60s. I can't let the hawk stop me from getting my exercise. When I got halfway, I started to turn back, like, forget this walk for the day. But I did it. All the way down to the shopping center and back. Like, maybe like 35 minutes each way, man. I did it. I kept going. Yeah, but it was cold. I had my bell on, though. That's important. They say walking is the best exercise of them all. But yeah, let's get this up. Talk about these all-time greats at super featherweight. No, featherweight. I don't know why I keep saying super. Super was last week, right? Bear with me for a minute. Hope everybody's having a great Tuesday. It's still early in the week. You know, we just coming off another great weekend. I'm having problems here. Bear with me for a minute. We're going to get it together. Oh, there we go, right there. Love it when a plan comes together. Yeah, Manny. I mean, you know Manny's up there. No, I can't use that. I got to use the other one because that writing is definitely too small. My chat back up. I got to give me like 2 minutes. There it is. Lights looking good. Appreciate y'all. Yeah, nobody came in. Let me get this up so we can keep going. We get ready to talk about some of the all-time greats at featherweight. I tried to experiment, but it didn't work. Okay, here we go. Yeah, featherweight was one of the original 8 divisions, you know. Back when we didn't have juniors and supers and all that stuff. Yeah, featherweight was always there, one of the original ones. Okay. And we talked about some of the all-time greats there. Eric Morales. Okay. Had a good career at featherweight. Now, Eric was a Mexican great, right? He conquered 4 weight classes, and he picked up some huge wins during his time at 126. Okay, 2-time champion. He defeated Kevin Kelly, Paulie Ayala, Ng Chi, and Duty Espados. He only lost 1 fight at featherweight, and that was to Marco Antonio Barrera. Only fight he lost in the division. He's famous for his trilogy of fights with Manny Pacquiao and Barrera, remember? Showing huge heart and resilience against 2 of the greatest fighters of all time, especially at featherweight. And he may have been one of the tallest fighters in the division, but he hardly ever used his reach. He would constantly be involved in wars, and that made him a fan favorite. Kind of like Espinoza, one of the current champions there, yeah. He wasn't quite as tall as Espinoza, but he was a tall featherweight, but he didn't use his reach. He wanted to come inside and brawl. And he only lost once at 126, remember? Nassim Hamed, some of the all-time greats. Nassim Hamed. Now, he might be the biggest puncher the featherweight division has ever seen. Hamed became one of the biggest stars in the sport with his incredible style and the punching power he had, right? He was famous for entering the ring by flipping over the ropes, and he would dance around the ring before stopping his opponents with one single punch. Hamed defeated Kevin Kelly, Steve Robinson, and Paul Engel during his time as champion, but he lost his title to Marco Antonio Barrera in 2001, and he had some famous ring entrances. But one thing about it took too long, and people were like, "Come on, Prince, get in the ring." You know, riding motorcycles, flying carpets. I saw that flying carpet. I still don't know how he did it, but he came in there on a flying carpet one time. The only thing, he took so long getting to the ring, though. Yeah, but Prince Nassim Hamed might have been the most power at featherweight. Seriously. And he lost his title to Marco Antonio Barrera. And there is Marco Antonio Barrera, one of the all-time great 126-pounders. Mrs. Just Do, how are you today? Always great to see Mrs. Just Do in here. The better half of that powerful Just Do boxing family coming up at 4 p.m., as a matter of fact. You know, going to bring us that balanced, unbiased boxing talk. Everybody gets to Just Do it, Just Do boxing. But salute, Mrs. Just Do. Peace and blessings to you. I know you always tell me that all the time. Peace and blessings, Mrs. Just Do boxing in the building. Salute, Queen. Good to see you today. Okay. Yeah, we're talking about the featherweight division today. Marco Antonio Barrera, one of the all-time great featherweights. Yeah. Y'all remember Marco? He wasn't that long ago. 2000s. Yeah. He's from the modern era. Now, another Mexican legend. Now, Barrera had some of his finest performances at featherweight, and he won titles in three weight classes altogether, right? He was a very great fighter, and he won his first 43 fights out the gate before he lost a fight, right? 43-0 straight out the gate. And he had his first loss at super bantamweight. What is that, 122? Yeah. Super bantamweight is like 122, one level before. Had his first loss at 122 after winning 43 straight fights. He defeated fellow greats Eric Morales, Nassim Hamed, Johnny Tapia. And he also only had one loss at featherweight, and that was to the great Manny Pacquiao. Nothing to hang your head about. A lot of them lost to Manny. You know, Manny was taking them PEDs and stuff around that time, so don't feel bad, Barrera. Okay? Now, Barrera was fearless, and he faced all of the greats of his era across 3 weight classes, making him one of the best ever in the sport. Okay? Marco Antonio Barrera. Next, the legendary legendary Juan Manuel Marquez. Yeah, bad man there, Juan Manuel. Had a great career at featherweight. Now, the great Juan Manuel Marquez spent the majority of his career as a featherweight, spent more time at featherweight than any other division. And he also won titles in 2 other weight divisions, okay? 3 altogether. Mexican fighter. He won the prestigious award of Ring Magazine Fighter of the Year in 2012, right? And he's regarded as one of the best fighters to have ever lived, Juan Manuel. I think he's underrated. He don't get the props he deserves. Marquez, yeah. He was known for his skilled combinations and extraordinary heart, which meant he had 64 total professional fights. Juan Manuel was never stopped. Never. All his losses was by decision. Okay? Never stopped. Okay? He was famous for his incredible 4-fight series with Manny Pacquiao and his war against fellow Mexican Marco Antonio Barrera. Yeah, that last one against Pacquiao was scary, man. Manny was face down for what, like 5 minutes or something? Wife in the audience crying. I think Juan Manuel caught him with an overhand right. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, that was scary. That was one of my most scariest knockouts of all time when Juan put Manny to sleep. Okay, next, go back a little ways now. Henry Armstrong. There's Henry. Homicide Hank. Henry Armstrong. Now, Henry Armstrong had 180 professional fights, okay, across in his 14-year professional career. I think he fought like 4 divisions, okay? And he was back then when we only had the 8. Didn't have no juniors and supers, okay? He had featherweight, lightweight, and welterweight championships all at the same time. And he also went up while he had those titles and fought at middleweight, 160. Now, how can you do that, man? Featherweight is 126. Middleweight is 160. He was fighting in 2 weight classes simultaneously. 34 pounds differential. Incredible. But Homicide Hank did it, right? Now, he scored almost 100 knockouts during his career. And when he was at featherweight, he was literally unbeatable, okay? Literally unbeatable. Never lost at featherweight, okay? Homicide Hank. Abe Attell. Go back even a little further. Abe Attell. You can tell that's way back there, Abe. Okay, Abe Attell. Now, Abe had the world featherweight title for an incredible 6 years. Held it for 6 years. In 1903, just 20 years old, he beat Johnny Reagan in a 20-round decision to originally win the title. Yeah, we didn't have no round limits or anything. 20 rounds. Took him 20 rounds. That was his first title. Featherweight title, 1903, just 20 years old. And then he successfully defended that title 22 times between 1906 and 1912. Now, the 19, for the other guy I was talking about, that was the modern record. Eusebio Pedraza. But the overall record is, because Pedraza was like in the 60s, 70s. Anyway, the overall record is 22 by Abe Attell, but he was way back in the 1900s, okay? Between 1906 and 1912, he defended his title 22 times successfully, okay? To this day, it's the division record. Pedraza has the modern record, but 22 by Abe Attell, this man here, is the overall record, 22 times, okay? Now, his brother, Monty Attell, he had the bantamweight title, making them the first brothers to hold world titles simultaneously, like about 100-some years before the Charlos, okay? Abe Attell and Monty Attell were the first brothers to hold whole world titles in boxing at the same time. Let me take a drink. Sorry, that cooler is good. I know that was loud. Okay, next. I don't usually use current fighters, but when a fighter is just incredible at something, like when I did switch hitters, I included Bud Crawford. When we talked about featherweights, and you want to talk about a man who was just should have stayed at featherweight. Really, might have been unbeaten. Got to give it up. Vasily Lomachenko. Yeah. 135 was really too big for him, but I guess that's where the bigger fights was at for him. So, yeah, but 126, Lomachenko was a killer at 126, okay? That's why I say I don't usually use active fighters, but when I'm doing a category where a fighter was just outstanding, when you talk about great 126 pounders, you got to put Lomachenko in there. Got to. Now, people often forget that Lomachenko's dominance at featherweight, they forget about his dominance at featherweight before moving up to challenge himself against the big men, right? But I didn't forget it. Lomachenko came into the professional game late after winning 2 Olympic gold medals and decided to make up for lost time, okay? Now, he dared to be great and fought for a world title in just his second fight, but, you know, that was a little bit of favoritism and stuff there, too. But he did it, okay? But he lost. He fell a little short that time. He eventually won the belt in his next fight, defeating Gary Russell Jr. by knockout. Yeah, and that was Gary Russell Jr. in his prime when Lomachenko beat him. He not only beat Gary Russell Jr., he knocked him out, okay? Lomachenko possesses some of the greatest skills of any fighter to have ever stepped in the boxing ring. Yeah, 126, another one. Lomachenko was virtually unbeatable at 126. He should have stayed there. Definitely too small for 135. Okay. Teofimo, Devin, if they'd ever went down and met this man at 126, Lomachenko would have watched both of them at 126. Okay. Devin, Teofimo against Lomachenko at 126. Devin and Teofimo would virtually have had no chance. Okay. That's just is what it is. Go back and watch Lomachenko fights at 126. You'll see what I'm talking about. The man was a killer down there at featherweight. Manny Pacquiao's next. The Pac-Man. Lomachenko did get favoritism. He got a championship opportunity in the second fight, lost it, and then got another one in his third fight. Where they do that at? But the man was a bad man. Okay, I got to give props up where it's due. Now, Manny Pacquiao at 126. Yeah, that was when he was on PEDs and stuff. Okay. Say he don't like needles, but got tattoos up and down his body. And I don't have any tattoos, but I've heard that getting the needle for the tattoo takes longer than just giving some blood for a drug test. So if you can sit there and get tattoos all over your body, what is a drug test to take? Like, I just gave some blood last week. It was in my arm like 30 seconds, man. So Manny was on them PEDs. That's why that was just an excuse about the blood test. He knew he was dirty. Okay, he knew he was dirty. That's why he didn't want to take the drug test. But anyway, the great Manny Pacquiao, he never got caught, so he didn't get caught, so it wasn't wrong. That's where I look at it. You didn't get caught. Because you robbed the bank for $10 million. If you don't get caught, you get to spend that $10 million, right? So, hey, Manny never got caught. But if he had took that drug test when Floyd wanted him to, he would have got caught. Manny waited 5 years. Yeah. But the great Manny Pacquiao, let me get off of Manny. He's the boxing's only 8 division world champion, right? Only one. Now, Amanda Serrano got 7, and she's still active. I think she was going for 8 in that last fight when they cheated her against Katie the second time. Yeah. I think Amanda would have had 8. And then that was junior welterweight. If she could have got up to welterweight, that would have been 9. But she's still active, so watch out, Manny. But anyway, only 8 division world champion in boxing, right? And Manny was another one never beaten at featherweight. Never lost at featherweight, okay? He beat Marco Antonio Barrera, And he had a draw against Marquez. Then he moved up and beat Eric Morales at super featherweight, 130. Now, Pac-Man is regarded as one of the best fighters to have ever lived, right? He beat some of the greatest fighters in the game. He finally faced off with his longtime rival, Floyd Mayweather Jr. in 2015 and got washed, okay? I think the fight would have been 5 years earlier against Pretty Boy. He fought Money Mayweather, but Pretty Boy would have probably beat him worse. You know, Pretty Boy might have stopped him. Yeah, but it would have been the same result either way. You know, they fought 10 times, Floyd wins 10 times. Okay. He was just better. You know, that's all it is to it. I got the wrong picture up here. Salvador Sanchez. I don't know how I got Sandy Sadler. But you know, you're doing greatest featherweights. Got to put Salvador in there. We talked a lot about him yesterday, remember? Salvador. That's incredible. Now, many say Salvador Sanchez could have been the greatest fighter to have ever lived if it wasn't for his unfortunate death at the age of 23. Can't say enough about Salvador, right? He held the title for 2 years before his death, but he still had an impressive record of 44 wins and 1 defeat at just 23 because he started at 16 because his family was dirt poor and he started boxing early to make money to help his family out, right? Yeah, he started his career at 16 years old and became world champion at 21 years old. He lost his only fight of his career at 18 years old. I think it was Antonio Becerra. Yeah. And he beat some great ones, man. Wilfredo Gomez, Danny Little Red Lopez, Juan Laporte during his career. And he was one of the biggest stars of the sport, you know. And of course, the #1 featherweight of all time. My #1 featherweight of all time, the Will o' the Wisp. No, not you, Sandy Sadler. Willie Pep. There he is. The Will o' the Wisp. Willie Peps. Oh, you talking about Salvador Donnie? Yeah, okay. Yeah, Donnie says Roy Jones speaks highly on him. Yeah, Salvador, man. He was just the man. And just think if he wouldn't have died at 23. Wasn't even his prime yet. I look at prime like, what, 26, 27? 23 is still young, man. And if he went into his prime up into his 30s, he would be the best Mexican fighter, the best featherweight, maybe the best ever. Wouldn't even be no argument about it, okay? And like I told you yesterday, he's the only fighter to go into the International Boxing Hall of Fame at 23 years old. Who does that, man? This is the greatest fighters in the sport. He went in there at 23 years old, man. 23 in the International Boxing Hall of Fame. An accomplishment it takes most fighters their entire careers to reach. You know, he did it at 23 years old. But let's talk about the greatest featherweight of all time, Willie Pep. And what happened? There we go, Willie Pep. Yeah. Won a round without throwing a punch. And then we're going to talk about the top 10 active guys that's fighting right now after this. Now, Willie Pep, the greatest featherweight to have ever lived. He won, you listen to this, 229 fights during his career, right? And he had the championship twice between 1942 and 1950. 229 fights, man. That's like 10, 15 fighters' careers combined nowadays. 229 fights? Wow. Pep was also voted the #1 featherweight of all time by the International Boxing Research Organization in 2005. He used his outstanding footwork, speed, and defense to bamboozle his opponents. He made them look silly. Okay? You know how you make fighters quit on the stool? Pep make them feel like quitting just because they couldn't hit him, man. The man, he went a whole round and the guy couldn't hit him. And Pep won the round, okay? Now, one person he described fighting him is like trying to stomp out a grass fire. Yeah, one fighter that fought Pep said fighting Willie Pep was like trying to stomp out a grass fire. Pep will go down in history as the best ever featherweight and the greatest defensive fighter of all time. Sorry, Floyd. Sorry, Sweet Pea. Sorry, Nicolino Loach. It's Willie Pep. Okay, let's talk about some of these active fighters. You know, some of the guys that's currently active, fighting right now in 2024. No, 2025, what I'm talking about. 2025. Okay, it's Angelo Leo on the right. Yeah, Angelo Leo is first. Yeah, these are the rankings. Ranked number 1, Angelo Leo. Okay, at 126 right now. He came through he only lost once. He lost to Cool Boy. Then he went to what's the one that come on Wednesdays? Oh man. And now he's back in the big time with Paulie Malignaggi and all of them Walmart cast. You know, come on Wednesday, the boxing thing. It's like a secondary type thing, but you know, Angelo Leo bounced back and now he's back in the big time. He's a champion. Okay? Angelo is. Sure is. Let's talk about Angelo briefly. Okay? Let's talk about Angelo briefly. That's Angelo on the right there. Appreciate everybody stopping by and rocking with me today. You know? Because, you know, y'all could be doing anything, but I appreciate y'all spending this little time with me. Hope y'all enjoy it, you know. But yeah, Angelo Leo, okay? Yeah, that's him on the right. Okay. Now, Angelo, he's currently Angelo has the IBF right now, yeah. 2-weight class world champion, right? He's an American. He has the IBF featherweight title right now. He's had it since August of 2024, right? And he had the WBO junior featherweight 122 from 2020 to 2021. He lost that one to Cool Boy. He's currently 25 wins, 1 loss, 12 knockouts. And Angelo is known for his left hook, which knocked Luis Alberto Lopez in a 2024 featherweight fight. That's when he won the title. His father, Miguel Leo, has coached him throughout his career. And Angelo is from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Albuquerque, New Mexico. Home of Skywalker Boxeo of the winning team. We talked about Bobby Chacon yesterday. He was a great professional boxer. That's Skywalker's uncle. That's his mother's brother. Mm-hmm. Okay, next, number 2, currently ranked number 2 in this boxing game, Luis Alberto Lopez. Okay, yeah, Luis is ranked number 2. Mm-hmm. That's who he lost his title to Angelo last year in August. I say it was Luis. Yeah, it was Luis. Let's talk about Luis real quick. Now, Luis is currently has 33 fights currently. He's won 30. He's lost 3. He had 17 knockouts. He's a Mexican boxer, currently at featherweight. He had the IBF featherweight title from December 2022 to August 2024. Like I told you, he lost it to Angelo Leo. He got knocked out from a lead left hook that left Lopez with a brain bleed. Yeah, he had a brain bleed after that fight. I don't know his current status right now. And the injury raised concerns about his future in boxing. Now he's faced, I don't know if he's fought since then. Now he's faced other notable boxers before then, right? Including Isaac Lowe, who's a friend of Tyson Fury. And he also fought Josh Warrington, right? And that was for the IBF featherweight title at the time. Remember that one? Yeah. I think Warrington held on to his title. And Lopez is from, he's a Mexican fighter. He's from Mexicali, Mexico. Next, Ray Vargas. Talking about some current guys. Ray Vargas is Ray. That's Ray on the right facing us. That's Ray facing us. Can't figure out who this is he's fighting. I know, but I can't call his name. But I recognize him. But that's Ray facing us. Ray Vargas. Ray lost his belt. Yeah. Let's talk about it. Yeah, Ray was champion. Yeah, he don't have his belt anymore. I don't think. Let's find out. Okay, Ray Vargas. Now Ray is currently oh man, I can't believe I did not put Ray. Oh yes, I did. Ray currently has 38 fights. He has 36 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, and 22 knockouts. Okay. Ray is also a Mexican fighter. Now he had the WBC Featherweight title from 2022 to 2024. Just lost it last year. And had the WBC Super Bantamweight title from 2017 to 2020. His father and first coach, Carlos Vargas, encouraged him to take up boxing, and he installed a strong foundation in the sport, right? Vargas has said that his humble beginnings in Mexico City were difficult, but that his father managed to get him to school, okay? Gives all his credit for his success to his father. And Ray is a former champion, still active. He's from Otumba, Mexico. Ray Vargas. Next is ranked number 4 is the current champion, Rafael Espinoza. Some might think he should be a little higher, but no. And Rafael is currently the, what does he have? Oh, man. WBO, because he took it from Robeisy, yeah. Rafael has the WBO. He has 26 fights. He's won all 26 of them, 22 knockouts, 85% knockout rate for Rafael. Now, he's a big, tall drink of water, but he likes to fight inside. Okay? Yeah. Sort of like Eric Morales was. Don't use that reach at all. Now he is a good boxer, but kind of like the Tower Inferno too. Fundora, he likes to mix it up in there, right? Let's see, Rafael Espinoza. Now Rafael Espinoza is a Pater, Mexican fighter, current WBO champion at featherweight. And he had that title since December 2023 when he took it from Robeisy. They had a rematch. Again, they're kind of weird where Robeisy just stopped fighting and walked away. Robeisy said Espinoza was elbowing him and he was seeing double vision or something. But yeah, I don't know what happened. He just stopped. Now, Espinoza is the tallest featherweight world champion in history. He won the title in a fight of the year contender fight against Robeisy Ramirez in December 2023. And in the second fight, like I was saying, Robeisy voluntarily quit in the 6th round. And that allowed Espinoza to retain his title. And Espinoza is from La Palma, Mexico. Okay? La Palma, Mexico. It's another word in there, but I can't pronounce that. I ain't even going to try. Ranked number 5, Nick Ball. He just took that from Raymond Ford last year, remember? Wouldn't it be something to see Nick Ball and Espinoza fight? Because Nick Ball is like 4'11". They say he's 5 something. That dude ain't 5 feet. He ain't no damn 5 feet. He's like 4'11", man. 4'11" Nick Ball against 6'1" Rafael Espinoza. That would be crazy. That would be crazy. But they both champions because Nick Ball has the WBA. So wow, I would love to see that. Wouldn't that be something? Nick Ball and Rafael Espinoza, 1 4'11", 1 6'1". Like I said, they say Nick Ball is 5 something, but they do they an inch over 4'11". But let's talk about Nick. He's a champion though. I thought Raymond Ford pulled it out. Now I had picked Nick Ball to win that fight. That was last year on one of those Riyadh seasons, but I thought Ford pulled it out. But hey, you can't be mad because it was a great fight, man. That was on the 5 versus 5, remember? When they made Eddie cry because Eddie lost all 5 of them. Eddie Hearn, remember? Frank Warren against Eddie. I can't think of the name of Frank Warren's promotional company right now, but he beat Eddie 5-0. Topped off by Deontay Wilder turning his back on Zhilei Zhang, then turning back around and getting cold cocked. I don't know what Wilder was doing. Looked like he went to say something to his corner or something in the middle of the fight. Yeah, like he went to say something to his cornerman and turned back around and Zhang said pow. Zhang did what he's supposed to do. But Nick Ball, Nick Ball is currently WBA featherweight champion. He has 22 fights. He's 21-0 with 1 draw and 12 knockouts for Nick. Okay. Ace, what's up, Ace? Good to see you. Appreciate you stopping by, Ace. We're talking about the featherweight division today, Ace, and just going over some of the current fighters. We went over the former all-time greats. We talking about some of the current guys fight right now at featherweight. The top 10 and ranked number 5 is Nick Ball. 4'11" Nick Ball. They say he's 5 something now. Nick Ball is 4'11. Might be 4'10. But yeah, let's talk about Nick real quick. Like I said, Nick is 21-0. 1 draw, 22 fights, 12 knockouts. Okay. And Nick, he's an English boxer, right? He's held the WBA featherweight title since June 2024. Won it in the 5 versus 5, remember? Frank threw a shutout against Eddie. I swear I saw a tear coming out of Eddie's cheek, too. Okay. Now, in a high-quality fight in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, Ball won the title by outpointing Raymond Ford. Now, I thought Raymond pulled it out, but it was a close fight. He told the Zone, I had to dig deep to get the belt. In March, Ball fought Ray Vargas of Mexico for the WBC featherweight title in a controversial split decision draw. Okay. Now, during that fight, he knocked Vargas down 2 times and dominated him, but they gave it to Vargas. But since that was in March, last March, Vargas lost it since then. Yeah, he don't have it anymore. I don't know who is. Is Vargas still at the WBC? He might. I'm not sure. Anybody know? I'm not sure. I think Ray Vargas might still have that WBC. Okay. But ranked number 6, Brandon Figueroa. Brandon Figueroa ranked number 6 at featherweight. That's Brandon facing us. Yeah, Brandon is ranked number 6. Okay, let's talk about. Now, Brandon has 27 fights so far. He's 25-1 with 1 draw, and Brandon has 19 knockouts. That's 76%. Okay. Oh, by the way, Nick Ball is from Kirkby, Merseyside, England. Kirkby, Merseyside, England. Yeah, Brandon Figueroa has a 76% knockout rate. That ain't bad. Up around 80. Okay. Let's talk about Brandon for a minute. Yeah, we talking about some of the guys that's currently in there fighting right now. Well, not right now, but still active. Might be a fight going on somewhere right now. Who knows? Okay, Brandon. He got one coming up with Cool Boy, right? I think. Don't he? Brandon and Cool Boy got one coming up. Yeah. Yeah, they got to fight. The rematch. I think Cool Boy should fight different this time. He fought Brandon's style last time and slightly pulled it out, but I think Cool Boy should box. Fight it from the outside. Don't, because sometimes you fight a fighter's style. That fighter get points from the judges for that, for ring generalship. The judges look at it like they forcing their style on you. So, that's how Sugar Ray lost to Duran, and that was a very close fight. But Sugar Ray fought Duran's style, and, the judges probably gave Duran points, say he was forced, ring generalship, forcing Sugar Ray to fight his style. So, yeah. If I was Cool Boy, I wouldn't do that again. He pulled it out last time, but nah, I would box this time. But Brandon, he's a 2-weight world champion, right? He's from Westlake, Texas. He's known for his aggressive and relentless fighting style and his ability to push opponents to their limits, right? Now, Figueroa has held the World Boxing Association regular super bantamweight title from 2019 to 2021. That's 122. And had the WBC super bantamweight title also in 2021. And since October 2024, He's held the World Boxing Council Featherweight title. Yeah, so Brandon, yeah, he's currently the WBC. Okay, yeah. Brandon. Yeah. If Brandon has the WBC, yeah. Currently the WBC champion. I think he took it from Ray. Didn't he take it from Ray Vargas last year? Yeah. But he's from Westlake, Texas. Brandon Figueroa. Ranked number 7. Now Raymond has moved up, but they still got him in the rankings at featherweight. So yeah. Number 7. I think Raymond's next. Has he had a fight at 130? Or I think he's got one coming up at 130. But yeah, still in the featherweight rankings at number 7. Raymond Ford. Raymond currently has 18 fights. Just lost his first fight last year to Nick Ball, so he's 16 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, 8 knockouts from Camden, New Jersey. That's RP's homeboy, Raymond Patterson. Straight out of New Jersey. Let's talk about Raymond. Okay, Raymond Ford. Okay. Raymond from Camden, New Jersey. Because nickname is Savage, Raymond Savage Ford, right? And he's in March 2024, he won the WBA featherweight title with a 12th round TKO against Atabek Komoto, but he didn't hold it long. He was trailing on 2 of the 3 scorecards, right? At the time of the TKO, final round, yeah. And he held the title until June 2024. Then he lost it to Nick Ball, remember. As an amateur, Ford won the 2018 U.S. National Golden Gloves Championships. He is also the World Boxing Association Continental Americas featherweight champion. Little minor belt. Like I said, from Camden, New Jersey. Got a couple more. Ranked number 8 is Josh Warrington. Josh Warrington. There's Josh. Another UK fighter. Yeah, there's Josh. Okay. Josh Warrington. Now, Josh currently has 35 fights. He's won 31, lost 3, 1 draw, 8 knockouts. And he's from Leeds, England. Yeah, Josh is from Leeds, England. Tough, rough fighter, man. You need 2 referees when Josh fighting to watch him. Yeah, because Josh be doing all kinds of stuff. You need a referee on each side to watch Josh, man. Yeah, Josh is, whew. Yeah, you got to watch Josh when he in there. Put a referee on each side of the ring. Because Josh is tricky. Now, he is 2-time featherweight world champion, okay? He had the international IBF title twice between 2018 and 2022, okay? In 2018, a documentary style movie was filmed over 2 years called Fighting for a City. And the film followed Josh's doing his pursuit of winning the IBF title in his hometown at Eland Road Stadium, the home of the Leeds United soccer team. Yeah, Josh is from Leeds. They made a documentary about Josh. Yeah. Okay. And then ranked number 9 is Robeisy. There's Robeisy. Robeisy ranked number 9. That's Robeisy on the left. Yeah. Anybody else coming? No. Okay. Robeisy currently has just 17 fights. I thought he had more. But yeah, out from the Cuban boxing system. Robeisi's won 14, lost 3, 9 knockouts. And 2 of those 3 losses is to Espinoza. Yep. He's from Cienfuegos, Cuba. Cienfuegos, Cuba. Okay? Robeisy. Ramirez. Let's talk about Wabisi briefly. Yeah, some of the current fighters. Next week will be 122, junior featherweight. The division that Monster runs. Monster runs 122. In Action Friday, as a matter of fact, remember? Your Monster in Action Friday. Yeah. Now, Wabisi, I told you he currently has 17 fights, 14 3-9 knockouts. He's nicknamed Trent, right? Cuban professional boxer, two-time Olympic gold medalist. Wabisi got 2 Olympic golds. Yeah. He was born on December 20th, 1993. He won gold in 2012 in London, in 2016 in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. In July 2018, Wabisi defected from the Cuban national team to pursue a professional career. Yep. He went back. Well, the 2016 was in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. They was probably watching him. But 2018, I don't know where he was at. The Cuban boxing team had traveled somewhere. And Wabisi didn't go back. Yeah, he defected to pursue a professional career. I don't know why I don't let them boys fight professionally. But as a professional, Wabisi had the WBO featherweight title from April to December 2023 before he lost it to Rafael Espinoza. And finally, ranked number 10 is Cool Boy. He just got to 126. That's why he's so low, right? No, yeah, I don't think. He fought Figueroa at 126. Then he went back down and fought Monster at 122. So I think Cool Boy just had one fight at 126, right? But yeah, he's ranked number 10. Stephen Fulton. Yeah, he's got one coming up, I think, on one of these cards. No, Figueroa. Right, the rematch between Cool Boy and Figueroa. That's right. Coming up. Now, Cool Boy currently has 23 fights. 22 wins, 1 loss. Only lost to the Monster. A real devastating loss. Took him like a year to come back from that. Understandable. 8 knockouts from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Cool Boy from Philly. Okay, let's talk about Cool Boy briefly. We're going to look at a short history of boxing in the United States to finish off today. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about the Cuban Boxing School tomorrow, brought to you by Thomas Hill. It's Wednesday. Show out of the chat. I got one this week. The Cuban Boxing School, brought to you by T. Hill. Thomas T. Hill. Okay? Now, Cool Boy. Ken Saw Love 1 in the building. And I know Jarrell Hattie is coming in 1 minute. Watch. Come on, Jarrell, so I can go on. There he is. I'm just messing with you, Jarrell. Appreciate Ken Saw Love 1 and Jarrell Hattie. 2 of my biggest supporters. Salute. Okay. Ken Saw Love 1 dropping super chats and stuff. I appreciate them 1,000,000%. Yeah, featherweight today, y'all. We're to the final one of the current top 10. Stephen Fulton. I think he only got 1 fight at featherweight, so yeah, that's why he's so low, But yeah, he's like I said, what is he? 23 fights, 22-1, only lost to the Monster, 8 knockouts from Philly. Philly. Washington versus Philly Sunday. I'm pulling for the Commanders. I got the Ravens out of it. I got the Commanders all the way now. Okay. There's been something, Baltimore, Washington Super Bowl, man. But we didn't hold up Allen. The Commanders still alive. And I'm pulling for them. Commanders all the way. Redskins. What is a commander? They the Redskins. Always be the Redskins to me. Now, Scooter. His nickname is Scooter. He was undefeated. He lost the Monster. Former unified super bantamweight world champion, 122. From 2021 to 2023, he had the WBC and the WBO titles, right? He grew up in West Philadelphia, and he used boxing as a way out of his circumstances. In 2016, he won his first world title by unanimous decision against Angelo Leo. He was ranked number 1 now at featherweight, okay? And the WBO World 122-pound champion, right? This victory ended Philadelphia's world title drought. The Coolboy was the first Philly fighter to win one in a long time. Stephen Fulton, yeah. But now, he don't have it anymore. But yeah, that's there you have it. That's featherweight. Next week is super bantamweight 122. That division is owned by Monster anyway right now. And Monster coming up Friday, a couple days from now. Gets that guy on short notice. Wouldn't it be something that guy coming in, knock him out? And somebody bet on that? They might come out of that rich. I ain't got that happening. No, he ain't knocking no Monster out. No. But it's boxing. Everybody talking about they're looking for a big upset this year to happen. That could be it, Friday. This guy upsetting Monster. I done talked to a number of people saying they're looking for 2025 to give us a huge upset. That would be a huge one. This guy on less than 2 weeks' notice. He just signed to fight less than 2 weeks ago. What was it, like last week? Remember? Because the UK guy, Sam Goodman, I think he had an eye injury or something, had to back out. It was already had been delayed before, postponed, but this time they just canceled it. And this guy stepped in. I think he's a Korean fighter. Yeah. I mean, he got hard taking a fight against Monster on a week and a half notice. Wow. Coolboy had an entire training camp and got demolished. So, yeah. Well, like Manny and them PEDs, I ain't sure about Monster. I ain't sure about that guy, man. He might be on something. How come we don't want to fight anywhere else? Come on out of Japan and fight somebody, man. I know he did it before, but now. And then everybody I don't know why Coolboy went over there to fight. And Coolboy was a unified champion. I'm sure they paid him, but yeah, man, you gave up all your advantages to go to Japan to put your unified titles on the line and got destroyed. Okay? This guy over there taking PEDs and wrap his hand, put cinder blocks in his hand wraps. Hand wrapped up like he got a cast on each arm. You can't do that everywhere. But Coolboy went over there where you can do it at. But that was very crazy, man. I don't understand that. I'm the champion. Come to me if you want these titles. If you don't want them, then stay over there where you're at. You know what I mean? Yeah, but hey, it is what it is. Coolboy went over there and got destroyed. They said somebody came to his hotel room with a cake for him, some of them Japanese people. I hope he didn't eat none of it. That cake was loaded. Let's look at a short history of boxing in the United States since we got a little time, okay? Now, the sport of boxing has been in, let me do this. Appreciate everybody coming through today. Put Willie Pep back up there. Now, the sport of boxing has been an integral part of American culture for well over 100 years, right? Even when its popularity experienced low points in this history, plenty of men and women still took great interest in watching and participating in boxing, okay? Now, the sport was never going to disappear, and it never will. Right? As long as they got people like us, and there's people like us all over the world that love boxing. It ain't going nowhere. Now, the sweet science has catalyzed new interest in many people, and has kept countless others from going to or returning to prison. Yes, it has. Yes, it has. There's much more to it than just two people hitting each other in the face. It takes a lot of practice to develop the agility, quickness, guile, and techniques necessary To be successful as a boxer, it takes a lot, man. I never did it. Mike Masick did it. Yeah. Up there in Jimmy the Catch Dupree gym up there in Jersey. Was it Jersey or Philly, Mike? Yeah. Mike been in the ring before. But Mike said them hits got too much. He said, forget that. Now, it is said that Irish immigrants introduced boxing to the United States as they migrated to the Northeast throughout the 1860s and 1870s, gaining prominence in cities like New York and Boston during the last quarter of the 19th century, right? And they fought with only bare knuckles back then, remember? Only bare knuckles, yeah. And there were no states sanctioning bare knuckles. No states that sanctioned bare knuckle fights. Fights were organized and champions were recognized by the popular men's lifestyle magazine, National Police Gazette. Now, in 1867, the first set of codified boxing rules to mandate the use of gloves was established in London, England. They were known as the Queensberry Rules, right? And they were adopted in the United States in 1889. Okay, like 20-something years later, the United States picked up the Queensberry Rule. Now, John L. Sullivan, he was the last bare knuckles heavyweight champion and the first gloved heavyweight champion under the new rules. He beat James Corbett in 1892. So the same man was the last bare knuckles champion and the first champion when they started the gloves era. John L. Sullivan. Yep. So now, as the sport gained more prominence, the Amateur Athletic Union, or the AAU, was established on January 21st, 1888. Okay? Now, the AAU held its first event in April 1888, overseeing boxing, fencing, and wrestling competition. Now, in 1900, New York State passed the heavy restrictive Lewis Law, whose real aim was to effectively eradicate the sport entirely, right? So New York wanted to get rid of boxing, so they started that Lewis Law. And the new law effectively banned prize fighting and other fights unless the two competitors belonged to an exclusive athletic club and were held in private venues. Yeah. See, boxing went up. That was all about the money. You know, you had to belong to that club. I'm sure it wasn't free to join the club, right? And the fights could only be held at specific venue that they picked. Okay, you know, all about that dollar. Now, fortunately, states in the Western United States were a lot more lenient. Okay, and they were and they were allowing boxing matches. They were a lot more lenient in allowing boxing matches to take place, which played a major role in keeping the sport active. The states in the western part of the United States, right? They didn't ban it like that very restrictive law in New York did. And during this era, champions were determined by the popular consensus expressed in newspapers. Remember, I told you about the newspaper decisions here, where they would no judges and wasn't a knockout or anything. Some newspaper writers at the fight would print a decision in the paper as to who won the fight. Okay? So now, boxing in the roaring 20s. Okay? Boxing in the roaring 20s. In 1920, get off it. Okay, in 1920, the Lewis Law was repealed, that restrictive law that banned boxing. 1920, it was repealed and was replaced by the Walker Law, which established the New York State Athletic Commission, you know, the NYSAC. And the NYSAC implemented various rules and regulations that were in the best interest of the fighter's safety and to make the sport more palatable towards a broader audience, okay? Changes included, you know, instead of just unlimited rounds, that's when they came down to the 15-round limit, right? For title fight. It also mandated medical personnel to be present for the entire card, okay? And it banned certain moves like headbutting or throwing your fighter down and then kicking him, okay? And it stopped other people from the audience because before that, your fighter losing, people from the audience would jump in the ring and help them out. So this Walker Law banned all that type of nonsense, okay? Like I said, made it more palatable to broader audiences, okay? Now, the following year, the National Boxing Association, or the NBA, was established, which comprised 13 states, okay? And the NBA later changed its name to the WBA, remember, in 1962. And is now currently one of the leading boxing promotions in the world. Yeah, WBA. Started out as the NBA. Okay. We wind just a little boxing history in the United States as we wind down to what Just Do Boxing. Now, with all these new changes that Walker Law established, boxing gained immense popularity because of those changes, right? And that after that, the sport rose to prominence. And radio stations started broadcasting fights. And it was typical to see several thousand people in attendance for major fights. Jack Dempsey, who was heavyweight champion from 1919 to 1926, became a household name, right? And he was known as one of the big five in American sports, joining the likes of baseball great Babe Ruth, tennis great Bill Tilden, golfing great Bobby Jones, and the great Red Grange of the National Football League. Yeah. And Jack Dempsey was said to be the most popular of them all, dating Hollywood starlets. Not Hollywood stars, Hollywood starlets, plural. 2 or 3 of them at a time. Yeah, Jack was a playboy, man. Yeah. Okay. Married to one, dating another one. Okay. Yeah. So then boxing quickly became mainstream and accepted as a legitimate sport in the public's eye. Because at that time, in the 20s, the NFL had just been around like 5 or 6 years, right? And the National Hockey League had only had like 2 or 3 teams in the United States. That was like a Canadian thing. So baseball in the summertime was the thing, was the main sport. But after baseball, it was horse racing and boxing was the big sport. Boxing was way more popular than football at that time and NHL. Horse racing and boxing took over. In the winter months, when baseball went away, yeah, boxing was very popular at the time. Okay. In 1923, Chicago Tribune sports editor Archie Ward was instrumental in creating the Golden Gloves of America. Yeah, that was huge there when he started that. Yeah. And that's the gold standard still for amateur boxing, the Golden Glove. And the organization was initially created for holding competitions between amateur fighters from Chicago and New York, where the sport was most popular. Those were the only 2 when it started out, Chicago and New York, right? They would have their little local events, and then every year they would have a national tournament between New York and Chicago. They would go back and forth. One year would be in Chicago, next year be in New York, Chicago, New York. That's how they did it back then, right? Those were the 2 big Golden Glove cities, Chicago and New York. And still to this day, winning Golden Gloves in Chicago and New York is still a huge accomplishment for an amateur boxer. Yeah. Winning the Golden Gloves championship in Chicago and New York and other states, but Chicago and New York is huge, man. Yeah. Okay. Now, initially started for Chicago and New York. Now, it later changed its name in 1962 to the National Golden Gloves. And like I said, it remains the primary amateur boxing competition to this day right now, January 21st, 2025. Okay. The National Golden Gloves is the gold standard of amateur boxing. Okay, let's do a little bit more. Now, boxing in the 1930s Now, just as the sport started gaining in popularity, it took a major hit after the stock market crash in 1929. As the country went through a depression, right, for the rest of the decade, professional boxers also experienced a massive reduction in payout due to the crippled economy, right? It affected every aspect of life, including boxing. Okay, why wouldn't it? Nobody had no money, right? So your boxing really experienced a huge slowdown at that time too. But anyway, huge reduction in payout, right? Now, yeah, due to the crippled economy. But thanks to a highly competitive heavyweight division, the sport was kept alive by entertaining fighters such as the German Max Schmeling, Max Bayer, and the brown bomber Joe Louis. Fortunately, came around at that time. And Joe Louis became champion in 1937. And he held the title until his retirement in 1949, remember? That 12-year run he had. Incredible. And Louis is still the only boxer in any weight class to hold a world title for the entirety of a single decade. Now, remember what I told y'all? Ricardo Lopez almost did it. He was in here yesterday. Oh, somebody's saying that. I said Ricardo Lopez, but somebody probably said his name. But anyway, he had it for the entire 90s except for 3 months when he chose to vacate and move up to the next weight class. But yeah, and he was undefeated too, 51-0 with 1 draw. And he avenged that draw. But yeah, Joe Louis is the only one to have it for the entirety of an entire decade. Joe Louis, the brown bomber. Okay. So boxing in the war-torn, Kensaw Love won. Oh, appreciate you, Kensaw Love won. 1,000%. Kensaw Love won another super chat. Appreciate that 1,000%. Kensaw Love won. Yeah, and yeah, boxing. Then it went to the 1940s. You know what happened? Then World War II came around. Boxing in the war-torn 1940s, and the world was never the same after Nazi Germany invaded Poland in 1939, and the United States was in shock after the famous bombing of Pearl Harbor by Japan on December 7th, 1941. The country shifted its focus on the war effort, and most title fights during the next 3 years were suspended. Many fighters, including Joe Louis, joined the military. And they didn't fight, and Joe Louis didn't fight in the war. He went around doing exhibitions and entertaining the troops and stuff. I told y'all the story about the one troop. Then I'm gonna end after this. He was in combat, his eyes had got messed up and he couldn't see, but he still had a chance of getting his sight back, right? And they had the bandages on his eyes. He was over there in Europe somewhere. So Joe Louis came through that camp where Joe Louis was going to different, lifting morale, visiting the wounded troops, doing exhibitions. He had some other boxers traveling with him, right? So he came through this camp with this guy whose eyes had got messed up at. So the guy heard Joe Louis was there. And he was coming to that ward where he was at, and the guy was just pleading with the nurses to take the bandages off because he wanted to see Joe Louis. And the nurse was like, you got a chance to get your sight back, but if you take those bandages off, you might not get it back. The guy said, I don't care. Let me see if I can see Joe Louis. I don't care about my sight, right? So yeah, he took him off and he saw Joe Louis. I don't know if he got his sight back permanently, but yeah. He didn't even care about his sight. All he wanted to do was get one glimpse of Joe Louis. He didn't even know if he could see, but he wanted to take that chance. He told him, convinced them, begged for him to take him off early so I could have a chance of seeing Joe Louis. And he did see him, but I don't know I don't know what happened after that. But yeah, that ended the story. They didn't say whether he got his sight back or whatever, but they said he did see Joe Louis. And that was just an example of how popular Joe Louis was around that time. Yeah, the man was willing to put his sight at risk just to get one glimpse of the brown bomber, man. Yeah. Joe Louis. Okay, we're gonna cut it off right there. Next time we get need a backup plan, we'll start with boxing in the war-torn 40s. History of the United States. History of boxing in the United States, right? We'll start with boxing in the war-torn 40s. But I appreciate everybody today. Tomorrow is we're gonna talk about the Cuban boxing school. Brought to you by Thomas Hill. Okay, he better be in here tomorrow too. It's his show. Okay, the BVO show. BVO. He was listening on the radio. Phyllis Trinidad. It turned out pretty good too. Got a lot of views on that. I get most of my views, like most later on the replays. And that Phyllis Trinidad was a good one. Thank you, BVO. And yeah, tomorrow is what is tomorrow again? I just said it. Oh, the Cuban boxing school. Yeah, Thursday is boxing in the state, North Dakota, and Friday is the life and career of the Brown Bomber, Joe Louis. I can't believe we never did that one, but we didn't. I checked. So Joe Louis Friday, yeah, for the profile. But it's still early in the week of boxing history. Just Do Boxing is next in these JBT streets. And then we got BVO Boxing TV at 8 with the group. BVO D Free Prize Fighter Crush the legendary Thomas Hill at 8 o'clock. And the Rise Podcast at 9 p.m. Fire lineup coming up. Okay? Don't miss any of them. These JBT streets are on fire, man. I'm telling you. I'm 2 o'clock, shorty. Okay, we're going to get ready to get out of here. For Just Do Boxing, the voice. I'm trying to see what's happening over there today before we go. Let me see. Just Do Boxing. It is. Okay. Today on Just Do Boxing, we got Ryan Garcia versus Rolly Romero, Teofimo and Hitchens, Beef Explained, Benavidez vows to end Morrell. All that and more coming up in like 5 minutes on Just Do Boxing. Okay? That's next. Alrighty. Jarrell Hattie, Ken Saw Love 1, Ace, Mrs. Just Do Boxing, Donnie Williams, BVO Boxing TV, Melanin Queen 27. Appreciate you 1,000,000%, Melanin Queen. Mike Mazik, Ray Patterson, The Boxing Menu Podcast Plus, Al Booger, Mike Rim, Miss Cass. Appreciate everybody for stopping through today. Join me tomorrow for the Cuban Boxing School. Brought to you by Thomas Hill. We're going to just look at exactly what it was, Talk about some great Cuban boxers. We got to do that. And that's tomorrow, the Cuban Boxing School. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's The Boxtorian bringing you all that boxing history. Just Do Boxing is straight ahead. This is Cass Sports. I appreciate y'all. I will see you all around those JBT